right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maureen Campbell. I'm a digital marketing and social media specialist here at Indiana University. And we're going live right now with a panel of great IU students who are going to be taking some questions about life at IU. First, I'm going to let them introduce themselves in just a moment, but first I want everyone here to know that during today's event, we'll be covering what the IU experience has been like for our students who are present here today. We know fall 2020 is on a lot of minds for many of our current students and families, so feel free to check out fall2020.iu.edu for any updates. There's also frequently asked questions on there, so definitely check that out if you have any questions about fall 2020. We'll also be dropping links today in the comment section, and we'll be focusing on how these Hoosiers have experienced life at IU, and they'll be able to answer questions for our future Hoosiers. So IU's application for 2021 opens up this weekend on August 1st, so we hope that you're just as excited as we are. But now I'll turn it over to our panelists to introduce themselves. And in the meantime, as I mentioned before, we're going to be taking your questions live. So whatever you want to ask, just feel free to drop them in the comments and we'll respond. So I'm going to turn it over to Philip.
Well, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Philip Denny. I'm a sophomore at Indiana University. I'm studying business management, and I'm from Chicago, Illinois.
Hi guys, my name is Ruby. I'm going to be a senior in the fall studying secondary social studies education with a minor in counseling from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Hi, I'm Lauren Wilkins. I'm a junior studying animal behavior and psychology, and I'm from Wellington, Florida.
Awesome, thank you all. So as we are waiting for a couple of questions to go in, I thought you guys you all could talk about just what your position at IU is and what you've been involved with.
I could start. So some things I am involved with, I am on the IU Red Slipper dance team, which allows me to perform at a lot of different sporting events and like football games, basketball games, and like we've done like the Gator Bowl last year, so different things like that. I'm on an IUDM committee called Corporate Relations, so we raise money for Riley Hospital for Children. And then I'm a Hudson and Holland Scholar. I'm in the Hutton Honors College. What else? I'm also in different clubs like Animal Club, so a bunch of different things.
I can go next. I have been a part of a lot of great things, and that's the great thing about IU, that you can be really involved with anything that you want to do. But one thing, and why I'm here on this panel, is that I work at the Office of Admissions. I've been a student ambassador for now, I'm going on my 4th year, so it's been a really great experience. I'm also a Cox Scholar, which allows me to work at the Latino Cultural Center as my work placement. I have also been the president of a dorm in my past life. That was like 2 years ago now. Wow. I also have been part of a board for an organization called Latinos Unidos at Indiana University. I've also been the chair for Latinx Council, working with all the Latino organizations on our campus and working with their board members and presidents to collaborate. Also on the cross-cultural collaboration board, working with the different cultural centers and making sure that we're creating programs that intersect in our identities and et cetera, and just keep students informed as well of what's going on when it comes to being a minority and other experiences like that. And a lot of other great stuff. I was a football intern for 1 semester. That was really cool too. And just going to the football games and working with the recruits.
Okay, I'll go next. Well, I'm currently on this panel as an orientation leader, part of the 2020 Indiana University orientation team. So obviously we help incoming students get acquainted with Indiana University through new student orientation. I'm also a resident assistant starting this year, so I'll be a resident assistant out of Foster Quad. I'm also a Hudson and Holland Scholar like Lauren. I'm a Kelly Dean's Council Scholar within the Kelly School of Business, so it's like just a small scholarship group where we just they're focused on diversity and change within the Kelly School of Business. And I'm also in a wide range of clubs. For example, like the Undergraduate Business Diversity Council.
Awesome. It really goes to show that you all are very busy, but at least you're very connected to campus. And that's great that you all can figure out how to balance that. And it sounds super fun. So our first question we got was, can you elaborate on the curriculum for Kelly? And I think, Philip, you said you're connected with Kelly, but if y'all want to, or if anyone wants to talk about like how students coming in can research their majors just so they have a better idea of what to expect when coming in as a student.
So I'll just start off with answering the question. Everything you've heard about Kelly so far in terms of the curriculum is mostly correct. It is pretty rigorous. Kelly honestly isn't for everybody. They will tell you that once you arrive, if you do get in the Kelly School of Business, but they do have a lot of resources to help you. Kelly is what you make of it, honestly. So as long as you just keep working hard and then just going for help as soon as you need it, don't wait. I think that's the best way I can describe it. I mean, I'm only a year into Kelly's curriculum, so I mean, everything's been pretty simple for me so far. But everything that you've heard it is really difficult. But just stay the course. Try to stay on track as much as you can and go for help, and then utilize the resources that they have. And I feel like you will come out on the other end really sharp.
And just to elaborate on the curricular part, just because I was originally a DA to Kelly, it's just like with any school, this is like what I'm about to say is applicable to any curriculum that you're looking at. You can go to the school's website themselves, even if you're not admitted, and they have I forget what the word is, but it's a course list, and it shows you, depending on the major minors that you're going to be looking into the schools, is what courses you will take in your 4 years there. For current students, you could just go to IGPS and go to the degree map and making sure that you look at stuff. So when I switched my major, I looked at different career tracks / degree maps to see what would change and what would I have to do to graduate on time and those things. And the great thing about IU is, like, with your resources, you have your academic counselors who are going to, and those advisors are really going to lead you to success if you like listen to them and make sure you're like doing what you need to do to graduate and stuff like that. And they can suggest a wide variety, usually just depending on your major. I know my friends who are in the music school, for example, like they are very strict. Like they take this class at this time. Like there's no variance within their degree, but I know business majors, for example, have a little bit of variance. And like my major, for example, secondary social studies education, I have a little bit of variance of what I was taking.
Awesome. Thank you all. So our next question is, are students required to live on campus at any point during their IU career? And do most students live off campus after freshman year?
So for this year, that's changing a little bit with the requirement to live on your first year. Normally that is the requirement, but because of the current situation, you're allowed to request to live off campus, which is totally fine. There are like upperclassmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors that will live in the residence halls. And there's also, they like become RAs, such as like Philip, like then you would live in a residence hall. But like personally, like I moved off campus for my sophomore, junior, senior year. I currently live closer to the football stadium, but there's also apartments that are partnered through IU and through RPS that you can use. So you can find like an off-campus apartment through IU, or you can go and search on your own, completely up to you. But yeah, you have a couple different options for once you get through your first year. But normally you will live on campus your first year. This year is just a little bit different.
And going on that, I think I heard one number from RPS once in the last 3 years. It was a number like around 2,300 students, sophomores through seniors, return back to on-campus living. It might be a little bit more, but on other circumstances, that's about how many. But if the undergraduate population is about like 24,000, that means only a very like small percentage actually stay on campus. And like Lauren said, it's like it can be for people. Some people love. I've known people who've stayed all 4 years in the dorms. I know other people who like sophomore year they ended up moving to a different place, whether it's an apartment, house, whatever it is. It's really just becoming your preference at that point.
Awesome. So going off of that, what is kind of some must-haves when you move to Bloomington or move into a residence hall for the first time?
I'll start off with that question. I think one big must-have that people really don't realize that you do need is like power strips. So like those large strips where you can have like multiple outlets. Which I see you all are nodding your heads in agreement because you really do need those, just because you are going to charge a lot of things in your room. For example, like TV, microwave, your phone, laptop, etc. Especially if you do need all those things at once. I would say a power strip is one underrated must-have. And obviously the basics, like sheets, pillows, etc. Have a lot of towels because you won't realize, obviously, especially if you're you're not showering like within your room. If you have to go down the hall to do that, you don't want to be using the same towel in a public space. So I would say those things are just mostly that are pretty important right now that students don't really realize.
Yeah, definitely get like a really good hamper, because in case you have to like walk down the stairs or take the elevator, like you'll want to be able to carry it without it breaking. So that's important. Shower shoes. It's gonna be weird your first year wearing shoes every time you take a shower, but I promise you get used to it. And it just makes you feel better once you're in the shower. And then some things that I think are really important is like a really good desk space to get set up, because I know it's fun to like go and just sit in your bed and do homework, but you won't get much done, and that's your place of rest and like hang out and like not doing schoolwork. So making sure to have a really good desk space set up that you'll feel motivated to do homework in.
There's a lot of things I could suggest. Me just having been living in the dorms for 2 different years. I lived my freshman and sophomore year. But definitely like things to decorate your room with. Like it doesn't have to be a lot. That's one thing I do suggest. It just, I mean, it also depends person to person, but I realized that like by the end of the year, if I brought too much stuff at the beginning, I was just like playing myself at the end, because I would end up collecting all these things, whether we have these different events, or like IU sends students things sometimes through the mails, or like you pick something up and or you buy something in Bloomington and you're like, wow, I just have 3 new posters, but where am I going to put them when I have to go back for the end of the school year type stuff, things like that. But yeah, making sure your dorm is your home, because you're going to spend a lot of time there. Just taking your classes, or just like just spending actual like time there, leisure time and stuff like that, and making sure you're making it home. For example, in my dorm room, I always had different books that I were my favorites, so I could share it with my new friends I made, and they would love reading those books. I had posters of different things that I liked and stuff like that, things that reminded me from home and high school and things like that. But yeah, and also like making sure you have, like Philip said, the essentials. I think my first week that I was there, I forgot like soap and toothpaste, and like those are like basic things like you need. And luckily my parents they put them in one of my boxes I had, so because they knew I was going to forget. But like without my parents, I would probably forgotten those like major things that you need. So just making sure like the day you're moving in, like you're having a checklist of all those things that you usually need on a basic day, whether it's your makeup products or your hair products and things like that, and just doing that stuff.
All great recommendations. And I swear, no matter how much you prepare to move in, you always end up at the store within 3 days. It just happens like that. Awesome. So our next question, how does early action work? Do you know if merit money is awarded for high AP scores, and our SAT is going to be required for admissions in this next year? So I'm not sure if you know the exact answer to that, but if you want to, Ruby, maybe if you want to start out.
As my boss has said, told me a lot of times, they were so excited when they had this option. IU is now a test optional school, so you have the opportunity as an if you're applying to IU in the fall or in the spring, you have the option to send those scores or not. But the thing about that is that some scholarships, some schools are still looking at those test scores. So probably I would assume, and I think someone has told me that Kelly is one of those schools that still will be looking at those SAT, AC. Sorry, I just got a no from that. So no, they're not. But just making sure, like, if you want that, because at IU we're a holistic. We look at your application holistically, which just means that we're looking at every part of that application, and you send it from your essay to your GPA. To those scores if you want them or not, and stuff like that. And based on AP tests, I think that was one of the parts of the question also. It just really depends, not on scholarship wise, but credit wise. Depending what score you get on the AP exam will depend on what kind of credit you get and also how many credits you get. So I do believe it's at the IU admissions website that shows you all that information. Also merit-based scholarships, yes, it's GPA, and in the past it's been SAT. But like I said, on IU admissions website, I've visited as a student, but I've also visited now as someone who works at the office of admissions, and it has a lot of great information, like stuff like that. So if someone can link it to the chat, that would be great.
Absolutely. We'll drop that link below. And kind of staying on that topic, our next question is, as an applicant for fall 2021, what's the lowest GPA that's been accepted? Is there anything people can do to strengthen their application if they have a lower GPA?
Based on slideshows that I've seen GPAs as low as like 2.5, I think was one time I saw it on the slideshow. I mean, at the IU admissions website, I'm sorry, I'm going to point at it, but there's like a medium between, like, our middle 50% is what we call it. Like, we admit people below and above that score, but like I think our average GPA might be like a 3.4 or something like that. The last time I saw it might be higher than that. But like I said, we admit people below and above that GPA. It really doesn't matter. Like what, as I previously stated, we're looking at the application holistically. So a great way, I always tell people applying to IU to really buff up that application is definitely writing a good essay. Like, I'm being serious. Like, there is not just one person looking at that essay when you send it to IU. There are multiple admissions counselors looking at it. And say you had a very bad hospital stay that made you stay in the hospital for 2 months. During one of your, say, your junior year, your sophomore year, whatever, and that really affected your GPA and really tanked it, then write that, and things like that. I just got a message that our middle 50% was between a 3.6 to a 4.0 for admitted freshmen of the fall 2020. So, but like I said, that's just the middle part. Like, we accept people above, and we definitely have accepted people below. It just really depends on you. And we're also looking at those extracurricular activities, volunteer opportunities. On the IU application, you also can do to recommendation letters. So like, people are looking at all that, like every single part of that application to any school you're going to, especially those schools that are holistic schools like IU. They're looking at, that's what it means when it means holistic, is that they're looking at every single part.
Awesome. Thank you for all that great information, Ruby. And like she said before, we'll be dropping links in the chat to kind of help guide you to find some of that information on the admissions website. So changing course a little bit, our next question is, can you share your experience as a college student living in Bloomington?
So I'll go first, but I love living in Bloomington. Being out of state, like I didn't know that I necessarily like love like being in a completely different area than I'm used to. But I'm currently here for the summer, and that was my choice because I missed it a lot. And like I do have a lot of friends that are here during the summer, so that was a big like motivation for me because like I missed everyone, especially since like we had some online time where we weren't together. So being together here in the summer was really important to me. And like the restaurants here are amazing. Like the food here, like that's like my favorite thing to do with my friends is just go out and grab food. And a couple of us are deciding that we want to try every restaurant in Bloomington before we graduate. So we're trying all new places right now. But I love being here. Like there's the lakes all around. There's Griffey Lake, Lake Monroe. There's so much to do. And even just like walking on campus, it's home to me. So I love being here. I love being in Bloomington. There's a lot to offer. And I think I want to like take it all in before I graduate. And I can't believe I only have 2 years left of that. So.
Just to add on to Lauren's experience, I do love Bloomington as well, especially I come from a large city, so coming to a smaller environment like Bloomington, I did see more positives than negatives within it, just because everything is so close here. Like you're not really going far yonder per se, to really find anything, depending like going to stores, restaurants, etc. And then obviously, like she said as well, campus is really beautiful. I would tend to not leave campus that often just because I would like to like see everything that we had to offer. If you like to walk, this is one of the perfect places to walk around just because you're going to see a lot of beautiful things no matter where you're going. So I love Bloomington. I come back on Sunday and I've been counting the days this entire week to come back just because I missed it so much, especially since this pandemic really cut us off last year. I'm looking forward to coming back.
Just to echo my fellow panelists, there's just so much you get out of a Big Ten school, and especially just the city. It's as well. Like I am just an hour away from Bloomington, but I've never considered it a place that I would apply to or go to. But I went on my first college tour here, and then I also just like actually came here as a student, and I realized how much Bloomington, the city itself, has to offer. It's not like other college towns that I've been to when I visit my other friends. There's just so much to do constantly, whether it's through the university or through the city of Bloomington. Definitely those restaurants, as Lauren mentioned, like me and my friends love going out to eat. We probably eat out too much, but also just other activities. I mean, now that I'm older and I have a car, like, yeah, we go to Lake Monroe a lot, or we go to Griffey Lake a lot, and we like to hike around, as well as I've recently, my friends taught me how to do disc golf, and now we disc golf all the time in Bloomington, as well as, like, as many people know, is that Bloomington is a biking town because our little 500, and I have really turned into much of a big biker. I really love biking a lot now, and I sometimes even go on like 20-mile bike rides because of that. That's the culture, and there's just a lot of things to do. Like there's never a time that I'm bored. Even with new circumstances, I know organizations are still going to be doing events, whether it's virtually or more one-on-one types of things. So there's never nothing to do here. So that's the great thing about that.
That all sounds great, and I feel like food is always the core of a great time in Bloomington. And to go off of that a little bit, so how did you all find your socialization at Bloomington or on campus? How did you make your first friend or find that first friend group for you?
I think obviously my first friend was my roommate. And then just from there, I think I really found friends just that first night when we moved in because we moved in on like the same day. We just walked campus, and then everyone is so personable, just like you previously mentioned. So we were just going up to people and introducing ourselves. And then from there, we just found good friends. And then over time, obviously, we started to hang out with some people more than others. So that's really how I literally built my friend group from scratch, especially since only 3 other people from my high school came to Indiana, and I went to a large school and I didn't really know them in high school. So just walking around meeting people, everyone's so personal and so friendly. It's very easy to make friends.
For me, we had tryouts for the dance team like a month before school started. And so I kind of had that group going into like band camp, which was during welcome week. So I already had like an automatic group, which I thought was awesome. And it was a good mix of like first year students as well as like upperclassmen. So that was really nice. And then after that, like just meeting people on my floor, you know, leaving your door open to meet those people that you see every day and you interact with every day is super important. And then the different clubs and organizations you join, like it's crazy to me how fast you become family with like those clubs and organizations. So like I just joined an IUDM committee for this year, and the first like 2 meetings I was like, I know no one, this is scary. And then now like they're some of my closest friends, and that just has been a couple months. So the fact that that happened, and even with O team, like orientation team, I wanted to join since I like came to IU, and then the fact that we're so close, and although we didn't get a lot of in person, like I feel like I'm constantly in person with them, and I feel like they're my new family. So I think that's something really special with all the people that I'm close with in Bloomington, is how fast they have become my friends and my family.
I would also just echo those same feelings of like closeness, like fast connections at IU. I mean, I went to a big high school in Indianapolis, so more than like 20 people came from my high school, but none of them were really my friends in high school. So like I also had to start from scratch. And even if I wanted to hang out with them, you don't have to. Like that's the great thing about college, is like it's a new start to everything. And like it's the time to really discover who you are and fill the space and time with people that you actually want to spend time with and be friends with. And whether it's through different clubs and organizations that I've met my friends, acquaintances, classes as well, both online and in-person classes I've taken in my last 3 years, and I've met definitely a lot of different people who I consider close friends. I remember my like first friends though at IU were I met them at this program called IFS. It's for incoming freshmen. It's called Intensive Freshman Seminar. Maybe some of you that are viewing are going to be there. Some of you are potential students can apply for it at the end of your senior year during the summer. You take a 3 credit hour course 2.5 weeks before campus, and you get to come before campus like classes start, and you get to come before everybody else. And you just get like, I got really close to my class because we were spending like on average like 4 or 5 hours a day with our class, and we got a really easy credit in 3 weeks. And I was just really close with those people, as well as like when I was at the Latino Cultural Center is where I met like my friends who I hang out now with, like my best friends in the world, like my friends who I don't live with, but I basically live with because I go to their apartment all the time and stuff like that. It's just like, it's really great that you can go to one meeting and like really connect with people, because people want to get to know other people, especially in this time in our lives.
Those are all great answers. Thank you. So we received a question saying, is there currently any info about how auditions for fine arts majors will work this year? And to answer that, definitely check throughout the next couple weeks, couple months on that school's website. So if it's the Eskenazi School of Art and Design, or if it's the Jacob School of Music, be sure to check their website regularly for updates. They'll be putting in a lot of different changes to make sure we can adapt in this new situation. And if you can't find your answer on the website, be sure to contact them. Every school has their contact information on there, so you can reach out to someone and hear back within a few days about that. So next, somebody asked what the decision time or how soon after you apply will decisions be sent out?
Based on the message that I see on my screen, and something I've heard a lot by sitting in presentation, if you apply by the November 1st, so that's a very important date for any seniors this year, and any year, it's always the same date. November 1st is the first deadline for applying to IU and most major schools as well, so keep that in mind. You have to make sure that you send in everything that you want in your application by then. So that means the application fee, the application itself, if you're going to send test scores, especially your I mean, I think so. If I remember correctly from previous knowledge, you can, after the November 1st, especially if you feel like your score is really, really low, you could send test scores again. It may be to get more scholarships, et cetera, and stuff like that. But definitely send in everything you can on November 1st. And when you do that for the first deadline, then you are guaranteed a response by January 15th through the early action applications. But decisions usually start being released like mid-fall. There's just no really specific timeline of when you will have it. Like you could apply August 1st, which I think is when it opens, is usually when it opens. Yes, August 1st is usually when that application opens, and it is this year as well. You could apply in August, and I know last year we were rolling out those. We do roll out admission, so like we just continuously are admitting people. I remember like hearing that like by October or November last year, like we were already admitting students.
Awesome, thank you. So yes, definitely August 1st and November 1st are big dates to remember. So next up, somebody asked, what does a typical weekday after classes look like? And I think we can also elaborate, like, what does a typical day or just a week while you're in classes look like for you?
I'll go. Just like it really depends. Like I like to have my classes in the morning. I had a roommate my freshman year who loved to have classes after 2:00 or like 1, like would not get up until like noon. But I love getting up early. Like I usually am up by like 8, out of my house, or when I lived in the dorm by 9, whether it was to study, to go eat, all these different things. So like it just really depends on when you want your classes. Like that's the great thing about college. You get to customize your schedule for when you want it. Like sometimes, yeah, you have to take certain classes because they only have one section of it. But like, especially your freshman year, you're going to have all this time that you don't know what to do with, but definitely use it wisely. But on a typical day, yeah, I'm going to eat breakfast because I love breakfast. I might work out because I like to work out in the mornings. And usually by the time I do all of that, it's time for me to go to my class because I usually start classes at 11 to noon is what usually my personal schedule. And then I have all my classes. And then after classes, usually what we do usually what I do is personally is like I study. I finish some of my classwork from the day, especially if I got into something assigned or anything like that. I definitely want to make sure that I'm doing that fast, and I'm doing that so I don't forget about it later and stuff like that. And then I'll go hang out with my friends. I love to hang out with them. Usually there's events going on campus, especially after like 5:00. There's a lot of things that will be going on campus, whether it's online or in person, like going to those events, especially things that interest me, whether it's in my field of study or it's something that I just like because it's a personal matter to me. Like I'm going to go do things like that, going out to eat with my friends, especially when I was a freshman. We'd always all go out to eat at the dining hall, or like we'd grab food and eat it outside together and stuff like that. And sometimes like I go to church and stuff like that, like just personal things to me. Like I just filled my time with things that like were leisure time, but as well as like making sure I'm getting that studying time done.
Yeah, I guess a typical day for me, I like to also start classes around like 11 to 1-ish. I like to sleep in. So I'd sleep in, take a shower, get ready, and then go to classes. I normally have like 2 or 3 in a day. And I try and put them back to back because I don't really like breaks in between. Which once you're here, like you'll learn what type of schedules you like, and you almost get them every semester just because of how many classes there are. So I'll have like my classes, and then once I'm done, I'll go grab food, maybe with a friend, maybe not, and then go do homework. Like either in my room, or I'd go to the library or find like a new study space to go and do that. And then find a different like campus event. Like they have theater shows all the time that you can go to. Different clubs will host meetings on like Tuesdays or Wednesday nights. So almost every day I felt like I had something, which I love being busy. So that was really nice for me. And then go to bed after that, and then just do it all over again.
Yeah. For me, I'm kind of like Lauren. I don't like I like to sleep in as well. So I'll start my day around like 10ish or 11. I like to have my classes back to back, or if I do have a break, no longer than an hour break, just because when I'm in class mode, I like to stay in class mode and not really break that. So I'll get up, shower, get ready, go to class, eat something in between classes, and then after all of my classes are done for the day, I'll usually just have some club meetings. I'll probably have a couple hours between that, so I knock out my homework, as much of it as I can, before I have club meetings, and then I'll have club meetings, come back, finish whatever I have, eat dinner, and then kind of just relax, reset for the next day, and obviously do it again.
Awesome. Thank you. So next question, was it hard moving out of state to study at IU? Personal wise and financial wise, are there scholarships or grants offered?
So for me, like I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in Illinois and then moved to Florida. So I was a little bit more used to the Midwest and but definitely not Indiana. And I love meeting new people. So like it wasn't hard for me to go out and meet people and like have a group. So I think being out of state, it could definitely be scary being in a new area, but I think Bloomington is the perfect area to come and do that if you're going to, just because like the campus is a campus and it's basically a square and everything within campus is on campus, which I really like. And then the surrounding city is great and has so much to do. So I really liked that I was like I could go home on breaks and see my family on breaks, but then like be in Bloomington and like be in my own space otherwise. So yeah, I think out of state is definitely not too difficult. And then scholarship wise, you can get, I think I have like the Dean scholarship, and that's if you have certain like ACT score, GPA, and then you could get certain amounts for being an out of state resident. And then there's a lot of different scholarship programs that you can look into. And so I have a couple different ones kind of all over the place, like Hudson Holland, that's a scholarship program that I'm in. And so I was so big on scholarships when I came here because I was like, I'm gonna pay this out of state tuition, so I'm gonna try and get the most scholarships I can. And so I think as long as you have that determination, you could definitely get it
done. For me, obviously, my home state is right next to Indiana, but even though I didn't know much about it coming in, so the out of state transition, I mean, it was easy. Then again, it wasn't just learning, all about the state and just learning about Bloomington. But in terms of like out of state, like Lauren said, just dig deep for scholarships. Indiana does offer a wide range. I have the Dean scholarship as well, Hudson, Holland, like she said, and then also whatever school you're in. There are a lot of school specific scholarships as well, and those are usually for larger amounts, just because they're very specific to you. They know what you want to major in because you're in that school. So obviously, scholarships make your college experience much easier because you don't have to worry about paying for so much.
The Office of Scholarships has a great website that has a lot of different information if you guys are looking for that, whether you're in state or out of state, and tells you all the ways to do that. There's also Money Smarts, which is run through IU, and it just is a great way to look at how you're going to finance school and stuff like that. But everything's going to be specific to person, and I definitely would look at IU's Office of Scholarships to look at what specific scholarships may pertain to your package.
Great, thank you. So thinking about campus, and I know some people see it online and they think it's a really large campus. So when you all came here and now, what have you learned how to navigate campus, and are there any tools that you used, or is it still like way too big, you think?
So the nice thing about all the classes is they are in like a couple different main areas. So although the campus is really big, a lot of that is residence halls and apartments and like the football stadium. Like we have that whole sports area. So like your classes are going to be in a couple different central areas. So the walk between is going to be 5 to 15 minutes. It's really not going to be bad. Plus the campus is beautiful, so I don't mind walking. And then like it's I like when I was here for my first year, the first couple weeks, I would just have my phone out on Apple Maps and be kind of knowing like the direction I was walking in. But you get to learn your routes really quickly. And since you do them almost every day, it's really easy to learn at least where your classes are. And then come next semester, you're like, oh, I know where that building is. I passed it all the time. So it gets a lot easier. And it definitely doesn't feel as big because your classes are in those couple main areas and you see people you know all the time, all around. So it makes the huge campus seem smaller.
And for those who are wanting to visit right now, do you have any recommendations on how people can look into campus?
I know IU does offer virtual tours online. I'm not 100% positive on the link you need to get there, but I know they do offer virtual tours. One time I was just bored and I looked at a virtual tour just because I missed campus, and it is pretty specific, similar to the experience that you would receive if you were on campus getting a tour. So my biggest recommendation is probably just go to Indiana's main website, look for virtual tours, and then obviously they will take you all around campus.
Awesome. Yeah, so we will definitely drop that link if anyone wants to take virtual tour. It's kind of fun to go through at your own pace and see what the campus looks like. So definitely highly recommend. So going back to a little bit on campus life, did any of you hold jobs, or how did you manage that throughout your experience?
I've held 2 jobs while at IU, both being a student ambassador / tour guide. Like I said, I've been doing that for the last 3 years, and also working at the Latino Cultural Center. So on average, I might work like 10 hours a week. I have friends who have worked 15 to 20 hours a week. And just with everything, even if you don't have a job, college, like a big thing students will tell you is time management. Like everyone does it differently. It's not going to look the same for everybody, but definitely making priorities. For me, like, and my parents always told me, and even my professors and people that I just admire, and people at IU will always tell you, like, you're here, one, for your education. So definitely make that a priority, but also it's understandable if you're paying out of pocket that you also have to make a job a priority as well. So making that a priority, like knowing that I have to work these days of the week and I have schoolwork these days of the week and I have class during this time, and putting those things first, and then socializing and other things you want or have to do. So I always told my friends, like, first it's school, then it's work, and then it's probably my clubs and organizations, since I've committed to those things, and then it's my friends, and they understood that. And just making sure, like, you're doing whatever helps you time manage. For me, it's I do online calendars. I hate writing it in. Sometimes it gives me satisfaction having a physical planner, but I usually throw it away. Don't use it, give it to a friend. I'm very much a like digital person, but I know everyone isn't like that. Some people like to write everything in. Like I have a friend who writes basically every hour of her day, like from start to finish, like the night before. And that's definitely for her. I have friends who like to write essays the day before, and I have friends who like to write essays a week before they're due. So, and they both get the same satisfaction and get probably the same quality, but that's like every dependent to every person.
Yeah, I think time management is huge. A planner, whether it's online or like physical, those are super important, and those will help you stay on top of everything, because there's a lot going on and there's a lot you're going to want to do while you're here, just because of how much IU has to offer. So that's definitely important. And then as far as like on-campus jobs, I've never had a job during the year. I will hopefully this year through orientation team and Office of First Year Experiences. So we'll see what that experience is like for me. But I know my friends who have had on-campus jobs, they really work with your schedule. So you'll send in your class schedule, and like my best friend, she had classes in the School of Public Health, and then so they put her at Good Buddy Eatery, which is right across the street from School of Public Health, and worked right around her schedule, like put her in times right between her classes. So they really work with that. So I think an on-campus job, if you're going to have a job, should be like the first thing you look into, because those will be a lot more of a smooth transition for you.
And kind of going off of your time management advice, do you all have any study habits or study advice? Because I know the transition from high school work to college work can be kind of exhausting at first and a surprise, but definitely something everyone has to go through.
I think having your schedule down and having a planner and everything is super important. And then study wise, like in high school, it can be easier to study the night before and do fine on an exam. But I think in college, it's really important to study at least a week before and study like in chunks, because you'll know the material better, you'll remember it better, and you won't feel as scared the night before. Plus, a lot of classes, like some classes just have 4 tests that comprises like your whole grade. So that first test, if you do bad on it, it can really hurt you. So I think studying beforehand, working on papers beforehand, be like really like proactive in how you be really proactive in how you study and how you do your assignments. And like, I think like Quizlet helps, like making flashcards, different stuff like that. Anything that worked for you in high school will probably also work for you in college. Just being very on top of things is important.
Yeah, I kind of briefly mentioned it earlier, staying on track with your syllabus. Usually your professor is going to have it like a day by day, like what you should be working on, or week by week sometimes. So just staying on top of that is really important. I like that Lauren said Quizlet, because Quizlet really became my best friend in college, just because I didn't use it much in high school. I didn't really need to, but once I started taking exams that were like kind of like vocab or maybe conceptual, Quizlet really does help with things of that nature. It really helps you remember things faster.
Awesome. So questions are kind of slowing down. Is there anything that you all want to say, just any last words or anything that you want to make sure people know about your IU experience and your time here at IU?
One thing I would say is definitely like being uncomfortable is okay. Like you have to like be uncomfortable to get out there. Like it's such a big school, but you can make this big school feel so small with like your friends and the activities, the classes, and everything you do here at IU is just a way for you to become more you, but also like getting more to that, like getting to the point where it's like you're getting your education and figuring out like what would you want to do after these 4 years here at IU, right? um but one big advice that I tell incoming freshmen or anybody is always like networking. That's so great to do no matter what field you're going into. And it doesn't always have to be like professional networking. It could be like friend networking too. Cause there's definitely been people that I've become friends with who end up helping me when I need to do something with an organization, or I need to figure out which professor would be the best to take for this other class. I need to fulfill some type of requirement in my degree map. So like definitely building those connections both with students slash peers, but also with professional staff, but both like professional staff in different units across campus and professors. Like those people are going to be the people that you're going to want to talk to when you're looking for a recommendation letter for grad school, med school, or for a job in the future. Like those people really also like are not just like your professors or people that have this job at campus, right? They're also like people, and they want to get to know you. I know a professor, for example, that I would always go to their office hours, so a time period where professors have an availability for you to talk to about your grades or your class or your whatever you're working on in that. And I would go to her office hours and I would just talk to her about like her research. Her research didn't have anything to do with the class I was taking. It was just about Latino voters in Chicago, and that was something that interested me. And by the end of the semester, she told me if I wanted an internship with her. I sadly declined because I was working and I was doing other things and I wasn't really interested in research. But the fact that as a freshman, second semester, like I was already being offered these things because I was making an effort to reach out to people that I was also interested in.
Some words of advice I would have is just like, you're at a school that has so many students and is so large, so like take advantage of that. Like the amount of like professors here and like the connections you can make, like Ruby was saying, is awesome. And like one of my professors like works close with Jane Goodall, and like being an animal behavior major, that's huge. And the fact that like I have loved his classes and like feel like I've had a good connection with him is great, because it makes that big school feel small. And just take advantage of every opportunity, because IU does have so many opportunities. So those nights where you just want to sit in and watch Netflix, like go out and try something different. Go to that club meeting, go to that sport event. I had never been to a wrestling match, and I was like, oh, well, they're giving out free t-shirts, so I might as well go. So my first year, like I was trying to do stuff every day just because I wanted to do it all, because there is so much to do. So take advantage. But also, if like you feel overwhelmed at all, like don't feel like you have to join 20 clubs at first. Like it can build over time. You see how much like me, Philip, Ruby are all involved in, but we've built that over time. We didn't just go into our first year being like, yes, I'm doing every single one of these things right now. They build, and then it becomes less overwhelming. So just take your time, settle in, and like just find your IU is home moment. And I think that'll be something that's really special, and something that I really hope happens for every single person, because I love this campus.
Yep. Just to add on what Lauren and Ruby said, I'm sure I'm keeping it short and sweet, but also their focal point of what they were trying to say is your IU experience is what you make of it. Do everything that you can. I like that Ruby said office hours, because office hours are very crucial. That's what someone told me coming into IU, and I really did utilize them, and they helped in a lot of ways, especially like, let's say if you're on the cusp of a grade and the teacher sees that you've been coming into office hours, trying to put the work in, they really will help you try to get like bump your grade up if you do need it. So I think just the focal point of mine, just keep it short and sweet. Make your IU experience is what you make of it. So try to enjoy it, because these 4 years do really fly by.
Awesome. Thank you all for sharing, and definitely thank you, Ruby, Lauren, and Philip, for joining us today for the panel. I think we got a lot of great questions answered and a lot of great info for our future Hoosiers, and I can't wait to hear what they have to say after this. So for those of you watching, thank you for watching and tuning in, asking those questions. Feel free to look in the comment section again for all these relevant and great resources from our websites. Take a virtual tour, any admissions requirements. There's a lot of great stuff in there. So definitely take a look. But we are signing off today. So thank you again, and I hope everyone has a great day.